Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Webinar Wednesday series. We are so excited to have our special guest today as part of our Meet UA series. As a reminder, I am Allison Beasley, and I am our Coordinator of Parent and Family Programs here at the university. We are so excited to have one of my personal favorites on campus here with us today. Dr. Lane McLelland, who is our director of the Crossroads Civic Engagement Center here on campus. And I say here on campus, but Lane, we are so happy to have you join us from our remote working capabilities in this different world that we are currently living in. So we are so excited to have you here today and for folks to get to know a little bit more about you and Crossroads. So let's start off, and I know you prefer to be called Lane, so even though you have earned your doctor title so well, but you are one of my favorites. So we'll stick with Lane. Tell us about yourself and what led you here to UA. We'll start off easy.
Okay. I think really the question has to be on what led me back here to UA. I am one of those few people, I think now, maybe in Tuscaloosa and maybe on campus, who is actually from Tuscaloosa. I grew up here. I was born up at DCH Hospital, grew up here my whole life. And because of that, though, when I graduated from Tuscaloosa High School, is what it was then, I, of course, needed to get out of Dodge. I wanted to go where things were grander and better. And so I went to Vanderbilt my freshman year and began to realize that while it was wonderful and I had a great experience, that probably it would be better on my student debt in the future if I came on home. And my home was very near campus, so I could even live there and walk to campus, ride my bike and all of that. So I came back to Tuscaloosa, graduated from the University of Alabama. I was particularly interested at the time. They had opened the new college, which is the interdisciplinary studies program here at the university, which is really exciting because you could create your own major made from different things that I was interested in. So I was able to do that. And then I graduated, but I still wanted to see the world. So I immediately left and went overseas and didn't come back for another 15 years. Lived several places in between, Taiwan for a couple of years, Washington, D.C. for 3 years, then Berkeley, California, and then Atlanta, Georgia. And ultimately, though, I thought Tuscaloosa was the best place on earth, and so I came home.
We love that. Okay, so being a native Tuscaloosan, what is your favorite thing about UA and living in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah. So I can remember growing up here that my mother would frequently take me to plays at the university and such, but there wasn't a lot going on. The best thing about Tuscaloosa then was that it was a relatively small community. I don't mean teeny, but it was still, a lot of people knew each other. And what I'm loving about being back in Tuscaloosa and being back here at UA is the ability to have a community, to be near family, to know a lot of people still who do get together in social situations in Tuscaloosa, but also to have that really vibrant community that the university provides. And it's just grown exponentially since I left and came back.
We love that. I have lived here myself for about 10 years, and I would absolutely agree with all of that. There's just there's such a community feeling about Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
You become, and you hear students say it all the time, as they just love Tuscaloosa and they become part of the community. So
absolutely. And I think what's wonderful is that there's so many different kind of folks here that you can get a community of people that you're really comfortable with, and you always have these options of different restaurants and different social cultural events happening at the university. Even in town, there are lots of different groups, things happening here. So it's a good place to be.
I would absolutely agree with that. So you have been back in Tuscaloosa for a number of years now. What is the most surprising thing that you have learned about UA in your time?
You know, I think I underestimated the university when I was here before. I can remember thinking, I don't know why I would need to be anywhere else. My professors were as great here as they were at Vanderbilt. So I thought, as long as you find the right professors, you'll always have a grand education. But what I have really enjoyed and noticed in watching UA grow over the last 20 years is the student body has become also incredibly engaging, and the students are so excited and passionate about what they're doing, and it's more than I can even keep up with. So as opposed to me feeling like I wasn't getting enough interaction with all the kinds of wonderful things that the world provides, I'm seeing that happen right here on campus and watching the students bring it.
Yes, they certainly bring a lot to Tuscaloosa, to the university, and it's so fun each fall watching new students come in and get acclimated to the university all at one time, and seeing it through fresh eyes, I think, is a privilege that we kind of forget about. And it's just really fun to watch everybody come in the fall and see what that looks like from new eyes.
Yeah, I agree.
Elaine, you work in the Crossroads Civic Engagement Center. Tell us, what's your favorite thing about working in the field of civic engagement?
I think what I have come to appreciate and get excited about in the field of civic engagement, which is that in the civic engagement can include a lot of things, and we don't do all of those things on campus. There are people who do things related to the community, like community service and the Community Service Center, and student engaged scholarship over at the Student Engagement Center. But civic engagement, as we do that work at Crossroads, is like, think of it as the where ideas and perspectives and all those things that make up who we are as individuals meet. And then what we do as a community together to solve our problems together, to think new thoughts and dream new dreams. A lot of times people call that in the literature what it means to become an informed citizenry, in the sense that if we're going to participate in our community, we must know things, we must have certain values that we share, and then it takes some skills to do that. And so one of the things I love about working in civic engagement is continuing to get better at it. People think if you are a part of a community, then you're just, then participating in that is easy. And sometimes it's not easy, and it takes a little practice. So we like to provide those opportunities on campus through our dialogue programs, through our engagement with professors who are also doing some interesting work, but primarily in our workshops, where I know you may be familiar with our practicing inclusive engagement workshops. A lot of people call those PI workshops for practicing inclusive engagement. But now we're also rolling out what we're calling civ shops. So those are like, what does it mean to be an individual who relates to a collective community, and how am I supposed to understand my role and what my rights are, but also what my duties are to my community.
That's really cool. Yes, I am a big fan of pie workshops, even though there is no actual pie to eat there.
No.
It's even better. We've had our orientation leader team take part in pie workshops for a number of years now, and they always come away saying what good things that it has opened their eyes to. And there are just so many things that I think that I take away each time that I participate as well. And like you said, it's easy to kind of think that you're doing what you need to be doing, but there's always something new that you can learn and pick up on every time that you participate in those workshops. So it's really nice.
Yeah, and I think one thing you may not have noticed in the pie workshops is that we talk very little. Most of the wisdom and the knowledge comes from the group, right? And so it's not that we don't know these things, it's that we're not used to talking about these parts of what it means to be a good member of our community. And so these civ shops will do the same thing. We'll just sort of develop ways that we can practice thinking and talking about what are our values, and how do I know that to be a good thing, and what does it mean for me to work with you, and what am I going to need from you, and what are you going to need from me. And all of that really comes from the group, but it takes some focus points, and so that's what we like to provide.
I love that. So Lane, what is your favorite part of working with college students?
Oh, yeah. This is it makes me feel like I'm still in college. I don't, it's not that I want to be 20 years old. It's just that all of the excitement about what the future possibilities are is just surrounding you all the time. So you can't get complacent. You can't get discouraged. I never despair. Every time, if I'm having if I read too much of the news, or there are a lot of things happening, as you know, we're dealing with a lot of things these days as a society and as a global community. But all I have to do is be on, engage with my students. On campus was a little bit easier, but even now, as we're having these Zoom meetings with them, they are constantly reminding me of what's possible, and that's what I love working with students.
Aww.
I love about it.
We love that. So what advice do you have for families, talking about college students, everything? What advice do you have for those families?
So interestingly, I am a parent of UA students as well. So my older son just is about to graduate with his master's degree, but he's getting all of that in his 4 years here. So one of the things I would say is help them be more intentional about asking their professors what they could do with their 4 years here. So that's been great for him. And the other is my youngest son is just finishing his first year at Alabama. And so last year when I was tabling for Crossroads at, Bama Bound, I would see him go by, and then also meet people who were going to be in his dorm or in his organizations or in his classrooms. And also get the chance to talk to the families and say, look, I'm one too here. I'm figuring this out just like you are. My advice is to ask good questions, because they're not always asking those questions. Not so much about their personal business, although I think being sure that their well-being is that they're doing well and that they know that there are resources there. And I think maybe that would be one area of advice I would say is, if you ever feel like there is not what you need or your child needs to thrive at Alabama, all you have to do is reach out and ask, and y'all would be the parent and family programs would be the first place to get started. There are more resources.
Say that, everybody. I did not pay her to say that.
No, she didn't, but it is true. If you want to know what's going on, y'all know, and there are more resources than people could ever imagine for everything. And so I have found it to be not only great for my own children, but also for all the students that I work with. All I've got to do is pick up the phone and call somebody, maybe parent and family programs, and know that that somebody's going to have a good answer for me about how to get the resources we need. Otherwise, just walk this walk with them. There's all the conversation today about the helicopter parent. That struggle's real. You care so much about your child. You want them to have a great experience. And so finding that balance, just be aware of it, but don't, reach out to people who are used to working with parents like y'all and find out what are some good techniques and things. And she really didn't pay me to say that, but that's what I would do.
Well, this is my shameless plug for even though we are working remotely, things look a little bit different in the world right now. We are still happy to answer questions either via phone. Feel free to leave us a voice message. We'll return. We are very active via email or social media. If you want to email us, parents@ua.edu, or on our social media, Facebook, UA Parent and Family Programs, Twitter @Bama Parents. Shameless plug because I run our social media channels. So please feel free to reach out to us. We are here for folks to answer any questions that you may have. And if we can't answer those questions, we can get you to the folks who can. We are all in this together in this very strange world that we live in right now. So that's great advice, and that's a wonderful segue for my shameless plug. But back to you, Lane. Enough about me. What is one thing that most people wouldn't guess about you?
It's funny. Sometimes I will be saying something in the office, and I'll say, "Well, when I was a chaplain in a hospital in Atlanta," and then my students will say, "What? Wait a minute. When were you there?" So at one point, I was an ordained Methodist minister, United Methodist minister, and I still am very active in the very same church I served in. I'm very committed still to that community. But I just, lifestyle-wise, I had children, and I found that for me, that's not true for everybody, but for me, what I needed to do was to teach and be involved in the same kind of things that I cared about, but not necessarily on behalf of the church. Another thing is I love to travel, and part of that led me, you remember when I said I left right out of college, where I went was to Taiwan, so that I could learn Chinese, because I'd been studying Chinese at Alabama. So I spent 2 years there, and maybe sometimes people are always surprised to learn that I speak Chinese. Now, not as well as I used to, but there was a day, and now I can do a little chit chat and have some conversation now still. So those are some things. I frequently don't think about things that people know or don't know, and so, but I always see that shock go on my students' faces, like, wait, and that too, you did that? So I don't really know what people find surprising, but those are two things.
No idea. First of all,
most people don't know
those things, and I've known Lane for quite a while now, so I want to know what other hidden gems that I don't know about. I think that's one of my favorite things about being able to meet with campus partners is just discovering new things. And that is another thing for students, for families to share with students, is that you never know what their professors may know. You never know what connections instructors may have. And so just talking to people is one of those things that can get you just so far with folks and make connections that you never even dreamed of. I was going to ask fun facts too, Lane, but I think that,
that's as good as I got.
That's pretty stinking fun.
Oh, well, yeah. Fun fact, I was now that I think about it, I hadn't really thought about the chaplain side, but I was a chaplain at the Olympics in 1996. It was fun. It was good.
So that was in Atlanta, right? Is that when you were?
Yeah. I was living in Atlanta, so that's why. That's it. I'm not, I like to think of myself as a fun person, but I don't know that there are many other fun facts about me.
I also happen to think you're very fun, Lane. So.
Oh, great. I like to have fun. I don't
once we return to campus, what is something that you are most looking forward to?
I think seeing it's like, I don't even know the way to describe it. It's like when you're walking across campus and seeing that crisscrossing of people going everywhere and thinking, oh, there is so much happening here. And, I can be doing my thing, but I feel so connected to so many other good things happening. So it's just the visual of seeing everybody doing the things that they do, and engaging in the questions that they're asking in their studies and in their work. It's just a great, enlivening place.
It is. I always love just being able to walk across the quad and seeing so many different people. Like, it's really just super fun. So I would absolutely agree with that. That's a really good one. That's really fun. I think that's all the questions that I have for you, Lane. This was so much fun. We are so excited for folks to be able to get to know a little bit more about you and to learn about Crossroads. And here's my shameless plug. Please encourage your students to take advantage of PIE workshops and the upcoming Civ shops when we return to campus. That's very exciting. I can't wait to take part in those for our orientation leader team. If folks do want to get involved with Crossroads, Lane, what is the best way for them to reach out or to get in contact?
Yeah, so our website is crossroads.ua.edu, and our Instagram, I am not the one who runs it, but I can figure it out. But it's all on the website. You can look on the website. It's got our telephone number. It's got our email, and also the Instagram and the Facebook and such. the other way I like to say is, we're right up there on the 3rd floor of the Ferg. So come up and visit, just drop in. We have a really, I would like to say we have a happy place that people feel good just dropping in. So I would encourage people to come by, especially even parents when they come to campus. I love meeting other parents, and because I share their interests as a parent.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are so happy for everyone who tuned in to our webinar Wednesdays. We are so excited to have had Lane join us today, and come back and see us next week. And as always, roll tide.
Roll Tide.